Jake Tapper had Karine Jean-Pierre on his show. So I call that a staff meeting. Jake is a former Democratic staffer. He worked for Handgun Control or whichever handgun. I mean, he was a left-wing activist and Democratic staffer. So he has her on the show, and it's patty cake. And he brings up, I guess I will say this, I will give him credit. He brought up that the majority of Americans have a concern about President Biden's age and stamina. The average male in America lives to be 77 years old. 77. The guy's 80. 82 if he were to get reelected. 86 if he served out a second term. When you're playing on borrowed time. And look, some people, that's an average. So you look at President Trump, he's 77. I don't think that guy's going anywhere soon. But Biden, I think, as Tapper points out in this interview, gives us some pause for concern. I want to play you the interview between Tapper and Karine Jean-Pierre and then discuss what's going on, because her take is fascinating to me. But I also want you to listen to how Tapper approaches it, which we'll talk about as well. And then I want to talk to you about how she answers it. Take a look.
I'm talking about his age and his stamina and his ability to do the job, and you're talking about the record. And I understand why you'd rather talk about the record, but I'm talking about what Americans see when they turn on the TV and they see, you know, Joe Biden's been in politics since before, literally since before you were born, and like he's
let's talk,
aged.
No, well, let's talk about this.
As we all do.
Let's talk about this, and you all talked about this back when we were marking the 1 year anniversary, right, of the war in Ukraine, the unprovoked war by Russia. What did the president do? He went to Kyiv, and he was there with the alarms blaring in the back. And people were so impressed that he was able to be there and look strong and represent the American people in Kyiv in a war zone country. And that's what you saw.
I'm not
right?
saying he's not able to walk.
But you're talking about his strength, right? You're talking about how he's looking right now.
He's 80.
That is,
I think like the average American male only lives to be 77 or something.
But here's the thing, Jake. People saw him and were impressed that he was able to do that he was able to be there and present the American people. Look, the president says this all the time. Watch him, right? Watch him. And they
are watching him. That's what I'm saying. That's the 77% who are concerned.
No. But I've had conversations with some of your colleagues in the White House press corps when we travel abroad, how it is hard for us to keep up with this president who is constantly working every day to get things done and making sure that we are delivering for the American people. And I think that's what matters. I get it. I get what you're asking me, but the record matters too, Jake. What he's been able to do, no other president has been able to do if you look at his legislative record. And that matters.
And then Tapper goes on to pivot and talk about something else. But you heard how he said that, he's aged, as we all do. Why is he couching this? It's like he's got to approach this with kid gloves. Like he's apologetic for bringing up something that 77% of Americans, plus the majority of Democrats, have a concern for. Why are you dancing around this issue? He's literally acting like, I'm really sorry that I have to ask you this. I know we're on the same team, but I have to. I mean, okay, like I said, I'll give him credit. He brought it up. But it's what, so he gets credit for showing up. But he's aging, as we all do. And at the end, he pivots. This is where I thought it was funny because she said that we should all be impressed that he showed up in Kyiv. He rode a plane and then a train. Okay, great. You can say that, yes. Was it dangerous? Yeah. Presidents go to war zones all the time. President Trump flew into Iraq. My former colleague, Sarah Sanders, tells a really good story about how the plane was darkened and the concerns they had. Presidents do that. But we're supposed to be impressed that he stood up in Kyiv and he didn't fall down and make a fool of himself. That's what Karine Jean-Pierre, look at. We should be impressed that he was able to represent us. What are you kidding? Where's the bar? We should be impressed that he was breathing. Look at him eating like a big boy. That's the White House press secretary's best case? Oh my gosh. Can you imagine if I said that? Look, President Trump, there he is, standing. He even sipped a glass of Diet Coke and no spillage. He didn't have to wear a bib. He let that go. This isn't like, I mean, she keeps talking about his record. That's not the question. There is a legitimate question whether President Biden, who is 3 years past the average male life expectancy in America and is seeking re-election and obviously has issues physically and mentally, keeping up. And this isn't a hit on him. He's that old. Everybody knows people that old. This is a medical reality. Okay? So it's a fair question. And she's talking about he went to a war zone. Like, that's a big deal. The reality is we should, because if he can't handle the job, we've got Kamala Harris coming.